This is Common Sense Radio. Straightforward and no excuses.
All right. Come on now.
This is the Steve Gruber Show.
Call me crazy.
Oh, yeah.
What I said was perfectly right and spot on accurate.
Boy's got a mouth like a cannon, always shooting it all.
Stop. Yeah, stop. I mean, you're way off script.
Got it in me. Gonna quit until it all comes out.
Hey, boy!
Been a long education.
Yeah, you know, it's not cynical. It's common sense.
Pay attention to me when I'm talking to you.
I'm gonna rock the nation. Rock the nation.
Genuine, accountable, and raw. Here is Steve Gruber.
All right, and welcome to it, my friends. It's the Steve Gruber Show on a free-for-all Friday. This hour brought to you in part by Mesa. Good business, good schools, and great health. Mesa, bring you this hour of the program. So I want to share with you, we do this with the backdrop of Michigan Senator Debbie Stabenow pushing now much stronger legislation for gun control, background checks. Make no mistake, this is back in line with the pursuit of banning assault weapons. I'm just looking at a picture here of assault weapons. She wants to ban assault weapons. And it's all part of that same road going down the same path of where she's going. And she got out there with Charles Schumer yesterday, a senator from New York, in an effort to further gun control in America. And on the backdrop of this, I want to share with you a study from Harvard that apparently has been buried effectively for the last many years. This is from Harvard. And Harvard, the headline says, Harvard University study reveals astonishing link between firearms crime and gun control. And I want to read this portions of this to you, and then I want to share something else with you I just found. According to a study in the Harvard Journal of Law and Public Policy, which cites the Centers for Disease Control, the U.S. National Academy of Sciences, and the United Nations International Study on Firearms Regulation, the more guns a nation has, the less criminal activity. Really? In other words, more firearms, less crime, concludes a virtually unpublicized research report by attorney Don Cates and Dr. Gary Mauser. But the key is firearms in the hands of private citizens. Now, this study has been, well, for the most part, completely ignored since it came out in 2007, writes Michael Snyder. But it was recently rediscovered, and while the findings may not surprise some, the place where the study was undertaken is a bit surprising. You see, the study came from the Harvard Journal of Law, the bastion of extreme Ivy League leftist liberalism, and it was titled, Would Banning Firearms Reduce Murder and Suicide? And the report found some conclusions you might not have expected. The popular assertion that the United States has the industrialized world's highest murder rate, says the Harvard study, is a throwback to the Cold War when Russian murder rates were nearly 4 times higher than American rates. In a strategic disinformation campaign, the U.S. was painted worldwide as a gunslinging nightmare of street violence, far worse than what was going on in Russia. The line was repeated so many times that many believed it to be true. Now, many still do. You see, you repeat the lie often enough. Today, violence in Russia continues. Far worse than in the United States. Far worse. Although the Russian people remain virtually disarmed, similar murder rates also characterize the Ukraine, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, and various other now independent European nations of the former Soviet Union, note Cates and Mauser. Cates, by the way, is a Yale-educated criminologist and constitutional lawyer. Dr. Mauser is a Canadian criminologist and Simon Fraser University with a Ph.D. from the University of California, Irvine. Here's what they say. International evidence and comparisons have long been offered as proof of the mantra that the more guns there are mean more deaths than fewer guns. Therefore, fewer guns mean fewer deaths. Unfortunately, such discussions are all too often afflicted with misconception and flat-out factual error, they write. Factual error. This is from Harvard. This is what Dr. John Lott has been saying for so very long. There is a compound assertion that guns are uniquely available in the United States compared with other modern developed nations, which is why the United States has by far the highest murder rate, reports Cates and Mauser. Though these assertions have been endlessly repeated, they are in fact flat out false. Norway, Finland, Germany, France, and Denmark, all of which have high rates of gun ownership, have low murder rates. On the other hand, in Luxembourg, where handguns are totally banned and ownership of any kind of gun is minimal, the murder rate is 9 times higher than Germany. Source of information? That comes from the United Nations International Study on Firearms Regulation, published by the UN's Economic and Social Council and the United Nations Commission on Crime Prevention and Criminal Justice. Now, when Cates and Mauser compared England with the United States, they found a negative correlation. That is, where firearms are most dense, violent crime rates are their lowest. Their lowest. And where guns are least dense, violent rates are the highest. There is no consistent, significant, positive association between gun ownership levels and violence rates. And I just want to say, I told you so. And there you have it. And here's something else that just crossed. So we're told time and again about the crime rates here in America. Now, in 2012, Russia had a murder rate of 9.2 per 100,000. There were a total of 13,120 murders in Russia in 2012. At the beginning of the century, it was a little bit higher, but make no question, the United States has more guns, but Russia has far more murders. My source for that comment, National Public Radio, NPR, that bastion of conservative thought, published this article in 2013. And this came after, and this was published after the Navy Yard shooting in Washington, where 12 people were killed. But the fact is, Russia painted America as the bad place, and now our Soviet leaders here, like Obama and Sanders, has our own Senator Debbie Stabenow. Russian gun laws restrict gun ownership tremendously, and the murder rate in Russia much higher, more than twice what it is in America. Gun murders significantly higher than they are in America. Pretty self-explanatory, isn't it? The phone number here is 888-900-9966, 888-900-9966 on a free-for-all Friday. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and post this Harvard study because I find it absolutely fascinating. It was something that Ivy found in her perusing. And then, I'm sorry, what?
Rob found it.
Excuse me, Rob found it. At any rate, the team found it here for you, and it's all here. And it's fascinating when our own senator refuses to do, the due diligence, the homework, and so do all of our folks. And does that excuse what happened in Roseburg, Oregon? Of course not. Or in Newtown? Of course not. But some facts about how it really applies. And this Harvard study is, well, it blows my mind, to say the least. And we're going to go ahead and put that up. You've already got that up? Okay, it's on the Facebook page. All right, it's on the Facebook page, this Harvard study revealing the astonishing link between firearms, crime, and gun control. There you go. You don't have to believe me. You can believe John Lott on the right or Harvard on the left. The fact of the matter is more guns do mean less crime. It's a mathematical certainty. Free for All Friday on the Steve Gruber Show. I'll be right back.
Keeping you in touch with Michigan and the world.
Let me take you to the movie. Can I take you to the show?
All right, let's go to the movies, shall we? It's Free for All Friday, which means we have a chance to visit with our good friend Ron Van Timmeren from Celebration Cinemas, talking about what's hot, what's not, what's going to happen, what's big this week, and what's been doing well so far. I'm guessing The Martian did pretty well on its launch last week, but let's find out. Here's our good friend Ron Van Timmeren.
Good morning, Steve. Yeah, The Martian, man, $55 million. That's a hit.
I'd say that's working for somebody. Yeah, Matt's doing all right.
Yeah, Matt Damon, he's the man playing the guy, the Martian, stranded on Mars, and a little Apollo 13, little Gravity, a couple other movies thrown in there, and I'm sure that will be number one again this weekend. The chief challenger getting panned by the critics, no pun intended, for the movie Pan. This is the origin story of Peter Pan. Have you seen any of the ads for it, Steve?
I saw a couple. Yeah, it didn't really get my attention. The other new release, one of them this week, has gotten my attention, but that wasn't it.
Well, Pan is a big-budget picture from Warner Brothers. They moved back from July. Never a good sign when they say, well, we got to need a little more time to finish our movie. But, it's PG. It's for kids. It's the Peter Pan story, or the early Peter Pan. It's got Hugh Jackman playing Blackbeard. It's got Rooney Mara, Amanda Seyfried, and Levi Miller playing the new Peter Pan. It's 2D, 3D, and D-Box, rated PG. Good for all ages. Well, okay, which one's got your attention, Steve?
Well, it's just one that I don't, because it's got my attention because I don't understand what it's about yet, and that's a good thing, and that's 99 Homes. It's got my attention because I'm going, what's going on there, and then what does 99 Homes have to do with what I'm seeing? You understand? I don't know what the name of the movie has to do with what I'm seeing, and it looks like it's a pretty good cast. I'm going, it's got my attention.
Yeah, good, yeah, and got the critics' attention, too. 90% fresh on RottenTomatoes.com. A storyline you don't see in movies, a real estate predator, Steve. That's Michael Shannon. He's a great, creepy bad guy. He's going around basically kicking people out of their houses, and because he can, because he got the paperwork done, and Andrew Garfield's caught up in that web. Laura Dern playing his mother. Andrew Garfield joins the team of victors, and it's really kind of sick, but well-made movie and well acted.
Did you just say Laura Dern plays his mother? Are we that old?
Yeah, Laura Dern plays Andrew Garfield's mother. She is getting to be of that age, I guess.
That hurts me. I mean, that just hurts me. Yeah, I guess she's 50, so I guess you're right. Yeah, there you go. I'm a little crushed. That's all right.
That's true.
There you go. Anyhow, so that looks pretty good. And the other movie that I wanted, two movies from last week that I still would like to see, Sicario and The Intern, both look pretty decent to me.
Yeah, The Intern's kind of a date night movie, fun, relaxing, leave your brain at the door kind of thing. Sicario is a very intense thriller and getting solid reviews. It came in third place at the box office. The Walk expands this week into all theaters. It was on the IMAX only in 3D last week. That's a fantastic movie, that story of the French high wire artist Philippe Petit and his attempt to cross the wire between the Twin Towers in 1974. And a documentary, Steve, the Nobel Prize, the Peace Prize winner from last year, He Named Me Malala is the story, the name of the movie about that Pakistani girl who went on to win the Peace Prize. Cool documentary.
Well, she was shot and left for dead, right? I mean, it's an amazing story. Shot
and left for dead by the Taliban for speaking out in support of education for girls, which to us in the West sounds like, yes, of course, but over there it's a little different story, and Director Davis Guggenheim did a terrific job with this documentary. And before we meet again in a couple weeks after, because I'm going to be on vacation, Bridge of Spies, I'm recommending that for you, Steve. Tom Hanks stars, Steven Spielberg direct, inspired by the true events of the U-2 pilot that was shot down and the negotiations around that. Also, Goosebumps, Crimson Peak, and Woodlawn opening up next week.
Well, and there you go. Bridge of Spies looks absolutely terrific. Tom Hanks, he only does the best anymore, and he seems to pull it off. All right, so you're off on vacation then?
I'm heading up, doing a little October fishing trip up at Lake Leelanau, so I'll check in with you when I get back.
All right, we'll need a fishing report, and we'll talk about the movies. Thank you, Ron.
Okay. See the movie, Steve.
There you have it, everybody. Ron Van Timmeren from Celebration Cinemas, and we'll get a complete fishing report when he returns here. I mean, what a perfect time of year. In fact, Ivy and I are waiting for our fishing report from up north. We think that the rainbow trout might be in. And if that happens, I'll give you a full fishing report come Monday here on the program. I'm not going to tell you where I'm going quite yet, but come Monday here on the program, I might. Well, it depends on the fishing, I'll be honest with you. Maybe I'll tell you where we went, maybe I won't. I mean, if it's really good, I might just forget that we ever had this conversation. And I might just, of course, I'll have to post the pictures because Ivy will usually set the hook more often than I do. She just has all right, she follows instruction better than I do. How about that? That's what she follows instruction when we're the guide, which this particular case we will be, from Hewitt's Guide Service out of Boyne City. He's got some Great Lakes up there and some opportunities. So that gives you some idea of where we are. But she follows instruction better than I do. When Bryce Hewitt is telling her how to fish and how to set the hook and how to make things happen, that's how, and I think that I already know everything. Yeah, that's the way guys are oftentimes when it comes to fishing. Women will listen, they'll catch more fish, and there'll be more selfies for Ivy. Meanwhile, it is Free for All Friday. It is Free for All Friday here on the program. If you'd like to join the conversation, love to have you on board. It's 888-900-9966. This part of the program brought to you by Wheat Jewelers. Wheat Jewelers is the place to find all that custom Spartan jewelry you're looking for. I mean, custom, really great stuff that you're not going to find just anywhere. For the ladies, for the guys, wheatjewelers.com, the place to check it out. If you're a statewide Spartan fan, doesn't matter where you're from. If you're a Spartan fan statewide, check out wheatjewelers.com. Tell them Steve sent you. Again, it's the Steve Gruber Show. Go to that Facebook page if you would. People tell me I'm not getting enough visits on Facebook. Go there, click like, tell your friends. Let's grow this thing, shall we? We'll be right back.
Michigan, born and raised with Midwestern values and Michigan common sense.
Never before have I turned on you when you look too good to me. Your beady eyes they can trap me in two, and I just can't let you be. But it's a free for all, and a heart I said, you can bet your life. Stakes are high, and so am I. It's in the air tonight.
It's Free for All Friday, my friends. 888-900-9966. All sorts of things to talk about today. My run for Speaker of the House, and I would appreciate your support if you call your congressman and say, hey, Gruber's involved. He'll be Speaker of the House. He just needs 218 votes, and it starts with yours. Let your congressman know. All right, 888-900-9966, the hotline. Linda on the line in Cadillac today. Linda, welcome to the program.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. And yourself?
Good, good. I had some thoughts on that whole murder rate issue. The Russians having less population than us, but more murders.
By far.
From what I've been able to glean, that like 80% of the average citizenry in Russia does not believe that they should ease gun restrictions for the general public. I think what has happened is that most of the murder and crime are taking place between a select group of a criminal element, like the Russian mob factions are fighting against each other, but the average person isn't involved in that. That's why...
Well, actually...
go ahead.
No, I was going to say that actually in November of 2014... Russia changed the laws. November 19th of 2014, because of the rash of violence and murders in Russia, private citizens in Russia can now carry guns for personal protection. It used to be only for hunting or target shooting, but now they can obtain a license through the Interior Ministry, and they can be renewed every 5 years. Applicants face background checks and are required to take gun safety courses, but gun ownership...
Right.
Because they understand that gun ownership means less crime.
They had a pretty extensive process for getting a gun. They had to, have the gun shot so they could register the marks on the bullet when it came out of the barrel, so that if they would use that gun in a murder or something like that, they would be able to pinpoint whose gun had been used. So
that's right, Linda. But the bigger point is... they realize that more guns mean less crime. Protecting yourself with a firearm is just good common sense in Russia, and I hazard to say most days in America. Linda, I have to run. Thank you so much for checking in. There you have it, everybody. Linda checking from Cadillac up there today. Our next story is in Cadillac. We're going to talk about after 26. This is an interesting idea. In Michigan, after 26 years of age, adults with developmental disabilities and cognitive impairment can no longer attend public school, as you likely know. For these individuals and their families, though, what to do next is the real challenge. So in 2007, a local group of retired teachers, parents, and volunteers got together to see if they could provide some type of meaningful employment for those adults. And there's a real need to provide employment for special needs adults, not just in Cadillac, of course, but throughout the state of Michigan. And joining me now is Dr. David Gaunt, board member of After 26. Doctor, what a great program it sounds like you guys have put together.
Well, thanks, Steve. We're just really excited about it. As you just said, we began this process back in 2007. It's hard to believe that it's been that many years, but it took us about 5.5 years to get open. So we've been open a couple of years now, and we're just really excited about the opportunities and the difference that it's making.
Well, you know, and I have friends of mine, a couple different sets of friends of mine that have, children with developmental challenges, and people face this every day, whether it's from autism or Down syndrome or maybe an injury somewhere along the way, that they have children that they are worried about. What do they do when these children get older? I mean, the parents
Absolutely.
At some point are going to be gone. And so after 26, this project that you have been part of and creating, it's really an important model.
Well, it is. It's interesting that you say you have a couple of friends that you know, because one thing we have learned throughout this process is that everybody is attached in some way to somebody who has this challenge.
Absolutely.
The community support that we've received from Cadillac has been incredible, but the interest that we've received statewide and nationwide has been absolutely phenomenal.
I think it's a great name for the program, too, because I think most people realize that after 26, you have to make other arrangements, and you have to make some sort of a plan. And we don't want to warehouse people. I think that's the key. We want people to have meaningful, productive lives to the best of their ability, and sometimes it's difficult. But you certainly have to have, meaningful, productive, rewarding lives. At least I think so. And so it's not just warehousing people, it's giving them a place in the community.
Well, you bet. And, sheltered workshops have been around for a long time, and they have filled a very, very important need. But when we opened this business, we didn't want to be sheltered. We wanted to bring this out into the open where people could see what individuals who are autistic or do have Down syndrome, to see just what they're capable of. And I think people have been pleasantly surprised, if not amazed, by the work ethic, by just the joy that these developmentally disabled adults present when they come to work. For them,
yeah, and let me give some credit here.
The After 26 Depot is a family, and it's provided not only meaningful employment, but it's a very, very important part of their lives.
Yeah, and let me give you some credit here. The After 26 project, to some other Michigan folks that were forward-thinking, the After 26 project was originally inspired by a Chesaning restaurant called the Junction of Hope. The Junction is the first, and this is important, the first nonprofit 501c3 restaurant in the nation. And their purpose is to employ special needs adults in southern Saginaw County. So let's tip our hat to the folks in Saginaw County that were forward-thinking on this as well. Following their example, the After 26 project filed for nonprofit status as well with the federal government and received that status in the summer of 2008. So it's already beginning to, build a following from Saginaw to Cadillac to Chesaning.
We're contacted regularly by individuals wanting to do this in their communities, and a part of our board's mission is not only to become very successful in Cadillac, but to help other communities do the same, because this need exists everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. So I guess my question to you, and we're on the line with Dr. David Gaunt, board member of After 26, a program that looks to, get these people, these young adults that have challenges, maybe it's autism, maybe it's Down syndrome, maybe it's a result of an injury, get them involved in the community so they have a future after they're 26 years of age. Where can people find out more, Doctor?
Well, we have a very active Facebook page that continues to grow by leaps and bounds. So if people were to simply go onto Facebook and search for After 26, you'll find us, and that's active on a daily basis. We have a website at www.after26project.org, and that's updated regularly as well. And, of course, the best thing that anyone could possibly do is come on into the cafe. Make it a point. Certainly those in Cadillac do this, but those who are from out of the area, come to beautiful northern Michigan for the very very gorgeous environment and things that go on up here, and make it a point to stop it after 26. We'd love to see you.
Dr. David Gaunt, a pleasure, my friend. Thank you for sharing this good news. And I probably should have you back here sometime in the near future and keep this conversation going. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Steve.
Dr. David Gaunt, board member after 26. You're listening to The Steve Gruber Show.
Delivering Michigan common sense with a big dose of truth and honesty.
All righty then. Welcome back to the Free for All Friday edition of the Steve Gruber Show. It's 45 after the hour. And we've got a caller on the hotline. It's Bill in Boyne Falls this morning. Bill, welcome to the program.
Morning, Steve. How are you?
Doing great, my friend. How you doing?
Good. First off, the doctor from Cadillac. That sounds like a very good program, and kudos to him.
Yeah, great program.
Secondly, when they about the shootings in Umpqua or wherever anymore, the first thing they mention, and they start talking about background checks. I don't want to sound like I live under a rock, but every firearm that I've had to purchase in Michigan, they always get background checks.
No, that was my point. Except for the one question. Okay, Bill, and here's the question. I take heat from this. But background checks are conducted most of the time. Some people would say 90% of the time. Some people would say 3/4 of the time. But if you go to a gun store or a gun shop, and trust me, if you go to a gun show, most of those are federal firearm licensed people anyway, you're going through a background check. My only point being is, if you're going to go that far, you might as well make people fill out a yellow sheet if they're selling it between, two private, two neighbors that are exchanging guns. Fill out the yellow sheet. I don't think that is much of a burden, but some people think that I'm on the wrong track there. What do you think?
Well, that would be the only situation, I guess, in Michigan at least, that you wouldn't see background check. And from what I've been involved in, you know the people who you're dealing with. And maybe right or wrong, I don't deal with people I don't know when it comes to firearms. So, I guess.
Yeah, that's usually true. I guess my concern, Bill, is the fact that Senator Stabenow here, and she's launching into this new gun control crusade, and they do it under the guise of background checks, and that's the one place, the one small area where I can say, okay, I understand where you're coming from. I can appreciate the fact that you want background checks for a private exchange of firearms between two private citizens. Okay, and I can live with that. The problem is then it morphs into, let's take away assault weapons. Let's make sure that we have gun registries. Let's do all these other things. And when the president says,
right,
let's be like Australia and England, that's where I get really frightened, because that's when I see, in my mind, the pictures of dump trucks full of guns heading off to be incinerated, because that's what they did in Australia. That's what they did in the UK. It's what they did in South Africa. It's a little frightening to me.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, thanks for checking in, my friend. Bill, I appreciate it.
All right. Have a good day.
All right, let's jump down the line. Matt is on the line in Okemos this morning. Again, the hotline number is 888-900-9966, 888-900-9966. Matt, welcome to the program.
Good morning. I was just going to mention that we might want to wait 1 month to give out the name of the shooter unless it's national security issue. This would diminish the notoriety that these shooters get. 1 month of wait would diminish this hyper famous people that want to be infamous shooting people.
You might have a point there. The fact of the matter is law enforcement can make this decision. You see, I understand the tug of war, if you will, with media people trying to decide whether they should announce somebody's name or not. I understand that. They're news organizations. Maybe they should, maybe they shouldn't. Megyn Kelly on Fox won't say the name of a shooter. I respect that. Other people from NPR and other networks say, listen, we're a news organization. We have to put the name out there. But the police, law enforcement's not encumbered by that consideration. Law enforcement can say, listen, there is no national security issue here, and we're not going to release the name because there's no point.
Right. I agree. And one more thing, short thing, is the left uses bullying tactics to diminish people and discredit them. They say they're no bully, but what they do is they bully people. Collective bullying, I call it.
Every day, Matt, you're exactly right. The left, and they're masters of it. I mean, look at the Clintons. Look at Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton. You think they don't bully people when somebody crosses the line with them?
You got that right.
Or Barack Obama? Valerie Jarrett. The biggest bully in Washington today is Valerie Jarrett, the woman who truly runs the country, who is, Obama's right-hand person. Make no mistake. That lady right there.
You're absolutely right. I've heard that time and time again, and I believe it's true.
She gets it done. And she doesn't get it done but with niceties. She doesn't get done by playing patty cake. No. She circles the wagons and then points all the guns outward and defends the principal being Barack Obama, or in the case of Hillary Clinton, it's Huma Abedin and her people of close inner circle people, or Bill, or whomever. They go out there and defend the candidate to the best of their ability.
Yeah, well, I agree with you. Her office is right next to the president, so she's right into his ear all the time.
No question.
But yeah, we need
all
to
right, Matt, thanks for checking in.
Because it really diminishes the individual's right to speak out.
It sure does. All right, Matt, got to run, my friend. Thank you so much. Heading down the line now on the hotline, Rick is on the line in Charlotte this morning on the Steve Gruber Show, Free for All Friday edition. Rick, welcome to it.
Good morning, Steve. For all your statistics nuts out here, background checks and so on and so forth, I just happen to work in a gun store. And the ATF was in several months back and talking about fraudulent applications, fraudulent paperwork. And I think the year they used was 2013. There was like 14 or 15 million 4473 forms filled out. There's over 160,000 that were openly lied on, but the investigation and prosecution was less than 1%. If they go in and start enforcing the laws they've got, there'd be a lot fewer problems.
Well, and that's true of a lot of things. I agree with you on that. I mean, let's be honest. If they enforce the immigration laws, we'd have a lot of things taken care of. Rick, thanks for checking in today. I'm going to jump over to Avery on the line in Marquette. Avery, welcome to the program. Avery, you're welcome to the program. Welcome to the Steve Gruber Show. Get to it quick, sir.
Hi, Steve. Sorry about that. My phone was messed up. I'm an NRA instructor, and I'm also kind of in both of your previous conversations. I also drive a special needs school bus, so kudos to the doctor there with this program. Those kids are amazing. They will brighten up your day. Well, I'm appreciative of what you're doing there. Back to what you were talking about there.
Hey, Avery, hold the thought right there. Just hold the thought right there. We're going to go into a break right here. I want to make sure you get your comments out there. We're going to get back to Avery and Marquette. A room for another call or two. 888-900-9966. 888-900-9966.